Everyone, it's Ashley, and I'm excited to share with you the leadership curriculum for the Inspirational Leader Program. Before we jump in, I want to let you know that the Inspirationals are also referred to as INLs occasionally, so these terms may be used interchangeably throughout the rest of the presentation. In this presentation, I will describe the student population, go over learning outcomes, the theoretical framework, and the pedagogies used when developing and executing this program. So first things first, what is an inspirational leader? The Inspirational Leader Program was designed for first-year students at Florida State to be a part of Dance Marathon at FSU's internal team. The goal of the program is for students to gain valuable shadowing experience and develop as student leaders through various workshops and trainings. No Dance Marathon experience or experience in positional leadership roles is required. Although some of the students who join the program have participated in a high school dance marathon or have held positional leadership roles during their time in high school. For this curriculum, I have decided to incorporate most of the leadership education and training pieces in the INL bi-weekly meetings because this structure already exists and is an expectation, so it won't add any additional meetings to our new students or current leadership. Based off of feedback from previous years, the students want to see more leadership development in these meetings. So part of the meetings will be dedicated to updates and things related to Dance Marathon that they need to know. The other half of the meeting time will be focused on the leadership development curriculum. I am also proposing that we add a fall retreat for the INLs where they can spend more time bonding with one another and exploring their individual leadership style. The learning outcomes for this program are to develop an understanding of what Dance Marathon is and who it benefits, to practice active followership, to examine and explore their personal leadership and followership philosophies, and to differentiate between domains of culturally relevant leadership. So how will we measure these outcomes? The Dance Marathon Executive Board members who lead the INLs and I will complete a pre, during, and post-test survey. This means we will collect information from the newly selected INLs before they even attend a first meeting to see what their current thoughts on leadership are and what their goals are for the year. Our during survey will be at the end of the fall semester so that we can measure their growth so far and gain feedback to see if any adjustments are needed in order to better help the INLs achieve their goals. Our post-test survey will collect information on whether the INLs felt like they accomplished their goals, and we can use the information collected through this survey to assess their growth as individuals and the effectiveness of the overall program. We will also collect written reflections throughout the year and do an end-of-the-year assessment in the form of a game, like Jeopardy or a Kahoot, to test the INL's knowledge of Dance Marathon as an organization. The three main theories that I felt were important to teach INLs about are followership, emotionally intelligent leadership, and culturally relevant leadership. I chose followership because the theory will help students challenge the stereotypes that surround being a leader, address the negative connotation associated with the word follower, and promote stewardship of our external community and participants. It is also important that INLs understand followership because their engagement on the leadership team looks so unique. They're considered to be a part of Dance Marathon's internal team, but as very young leaders in the organization, there will certainly be times when they aren't given the full context of why decisions were made by the executive board or even the advising team. While I want to encourage them to be curious and ask questions, these new student leaders also need to understand that there are certain organizational structures and procedures in place to prevent absolute chaos. I wanted to include emotionally intelligent leadership because Dance Marathon at Florida State has made it a goal over the past couple of years to improve and enhance the participant experience. Learning about emotionally intelligent leadership will help students foster a strong sense of community among teams, assist in the formation of strong teams throughout the year, and help in the practice of effective communication and offering effective feedback. Culturally relevant leadership is important for students on the leadership team for Dance Marathon at FSU to understand because as students enter their third or fourth year participating, they begin to see the inequities that permeate through the organization. Unfortunately, that leaves students very little time to actually change the processes that are causing this barrier to involvement for many students. By getting students to identify and challenge the processes and traditions that are largely preventing some student populations from getting involved in their freshman year, I believe we can set a new tradition of focusing on social justice, diversity, and inclusion as core values of Dance Marathon's leadership teams. At the end of the day, I want students who complete the INL program to feel confident in their identity and abilities as a student leader. Now let's dive into pedagogy. We will use group discussion and facilitation, role play, simulations, icebreakers, feedback, and team-based learning. Although this may seem like a very wide array of pedagogies used, it is important that we take into consideration the many different learning styles and personality types that we will need to cater to, especially since the INL group is typically comprised of around 100 to 150 students. The inspirational leaders will also be guided through reflections throughout the year and have the opportunity at their retreat to create a personal mission statement and then come together to create a group mission statement. Now we're going to talk about some of the simulations that we would use with the INLs. These are some examples that I have adapted from FSU Panhellenic Recruitment Counselor Retreat. The first activity is called the Barter Puzzle. Each group gets a different puzzle, but they don't know that some of their pieces are mixed together. The goal of the activity is for the group to complete their puzzle in the shortest amount of time. But they don't know that they will have to do this by coming up with ways to get the pieces back that they don't have through negotiation, trading, exchanging team members, and many other options. They have to work together as a group to come up with these decisions and make sure that this is not an individual choice. It calls for problem solving and consensus building within the group. The next activity is called Spiderweb. Essentially, a huge human life-size spider web is built with whatever materials we have, like string. And the goal of the activity is to have every group member from one side successfully make it to the other side of the spider web by being passed through a spider web hole. Once a hole is used, it is blocked for all remaining members to pass through. This takes a lot of strategizing on the part of the team in order to ensure the safety and suitability of different passages for different team members. It also requires team members to be vulnerable about how comfortable they are with being lifted or carried by other team members. And it requires members who are being lifted or carried to establish a great deal of trust in the other team members. Lastly, here are my references for this project. Thank you all so much for taking the time to listen and offer feedback on this curriculum.